Okay, guys, it is 5 something, 6 something in Eastern time morning, and I want to do Waking Up with Renee. I want to talk about it this morning. I slept good last night. I slept so hard. Well, let's get prepared for the news because God is a good God, and He dealt with news, good or bad. He brought it. Yeah. So we're dealing with the news today. I have a "What do you think?" question. What do you think? Um, We had a debate on yesterday, and the debate was about black folks, white folks, and every other race in between. I know that sounds so racial to say everything was made by black and white. People, Phew. People, and everybody's opinion is different. You may say whites in Russia, but we've learned in history and also finding the main idea or the subject of a paragraph or a passage. It's what's talked about the most. It's about who's done not so much the most, but who's in history the most. And most of the time when you read history, history speaks about blacks and whites. Whites predominantly, but blacks because of slavery and then their promotions and productions. But folks says that blacks are sensitive. What do you think about that? Debate was which race is the most. Now I think we've come to a point where I just feel like everything is one. I really do. I don't know why I feel like that now. And it's very hard for me to make a difference. I guess we fought this war, this race war so long. And that's what the question was about. We was talking about what has been going on. I don't know how much of this you believe that we have been in a war. We talked about how government was so crooked and relax at being crooked. That's of all race. I don't care who was there. You're in America, you're in government, they were still in, they got to a point. We were in a deficit. And the news only report what the government allows it to report. Okay. And so we talked about how the sexual harassment broke out. And during the sexual harassment, how people began to take sides when they found out there was money. Things I don't want to say it turned to racism, but it was already racism hidden, especially with Mexico, Perry and Castro in position in Texas. This is years ago, y'all. We've been fighting this war, and how they were hitting blacks. And Mexico is sneaky anyway, and didn't even know it. I don't want to forget my point. Okay. Bringing it on up to today, we all had to fight. The people fought, y'all. As I told them many of times when I went to CPS court when they took my children, I said, okay, we can handle this in the streets. And by God, we did handle it in the streets. And business was being taken care of because we are the people. We wasn't guilty. They were. You thought, okay, because they cast the sentence of guilt on us that we were guilty. No. They were killing. They were stealing Americans' money. They were stealing Americans' children. They was murdering elderly, taking people's homes, living in it, just because they wanted to. And at time, they got permission from the UN to do it, baby. But in America, we are the people. And we have built a constitution that would keep us from going into each other's home, like they said, police officers go in your home, go in your refrigerator. That's Africa, baby. You can't make this Africa over here. This is America. We have established an agreement that in order to live on American soil, we will abide by Americans' constitution and laws. They never really changed the constitution. That's why they got in trouble, but they continue to change laws to benefit them, their lifestyle, their ways. Not knowing that there's still a God, baby. There is still a God that says, no way, not American land. Regardless of what we say about Christopher Columbus, God brought him here. He may not have been right. He may have lied. Whatever God allowed. He allowed that back then. Yet, they come in here and all the nations still in what we know as Africa, because you can't tell me We've already established that there was a black man on this land. But whatever the reason is, a black man may not have been as productive as what was already established, like England. And so they came over with India, India being somewhat Mexico, same people. And they established a system over here. And we began to become organized according to that system. And then the Constitution was established. So we was no longer considered a lost land. Now, we don't know how it operated before then. Look at our modern day Africa. I mean, I hope no one get offended by this, but some of the ways of Africa is still old. I look at some of the homes and then some of the rumors that's told by the Africans. How the lions are jumping through their windows and they have to run. And the houses look like old caveman houses of clay. It is still old. And yet they want to keep it that way. They got a lot of riches on that land. But they themselves feel like it, and this is after the white man come over, he takes over, he does our riches, and we won't get any. But now I've heard some say they get black men in office. And that's why their country's not built up, because he takes the money. And that's what I'm talking about in America. Greed. Some folks get up there and they're greedy. They get up there just to take money. I'm going to live rich. I'm the president. I'm supposed to be rich. I don't know what they're supposed to be, but I know they're supposed to govern the land. And our land was not governed. So dealing with yesterday's debate and speaking with the things that had occurred in our past on how the people fought and police officers were, because they were given permission. They were beating our people. They were stealing. That was police officers hitting me also, because these people that call themselves high wouldn't come out of position. Oprah and Tyler and Obama, they came in when everyone split up into a race war, and FBI came out and fought blacks. That was part of the sexual harassment. Had a big black Baptist group, and they were pulling in more, and they couldn't establish whether they were fighting for the hazing, fighting because they were black. But when they came after me, they knew they were fighting them because they were black. And yet Oprah never had something to do with fighting the Baptists. And then they want to make a queen because Sheila them was involved in Perry. And yet they had to fight. And so they began to fight me. It was horrible. But bringing it up today again, I got 3 minutes left. The debate was, we're going to talk about this the last 3 minutes of my time. And so where to keep them coming in at? Everybody saw an opportunity. I told you it was 3 groups in the beginning. If you've been listening. But why did they say that was black was sensitive? Because when they began to kill during the race war, whites were supposed to use Mexico to kill off black celebrities. They were angry because there was a black queen. But when black began to fight back, they hit whites out of anger. But they didn't mess with Mexico because they loved Jennifer Lopez. The way they thought was Jennifer Lopez is good people to us. She considered Mexican. Mexico went out and they hit innocent people. Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, that was FBI. And that's how angry that was. They was hitting a race war. But they got a black queen, we're going to kill all their popular blacks. You know what popularity in the culture do for that culture? They wanted to downgrade us and take our celebrities. And when blacks began to hit Bill Gates, let's talk about it, because whites lost a lot. But Mexico didn't lose that many. Why? Somebody said because they didn't have nobody out there. But then they said no, because y'all sensitive. They used to working with these Mexicans. They love them. If them Mexicans made up that high, knowing that they have a friendship, they wouldn't hit Jennifer. They wouldn't hit others like Julio Iglesias, who we don't know what happened to. But nevertheless, we'll let bygones be bygones. I have 38 seconds. Do you think blacks are more sensitive or the most sensitive culture out there? Now, I remember I spoke on that once, and I said because we're spiritual people, we meditate, we believe in the God, so do Mexico. But I think blacks are a little bit more than Mexicans. They all consider blacks, but African American deals still with spirituality. Mexico will probably be the second greatest that will deal with spirituality. It keeps us calmer, more. But I really believe that there's a Caucasian, they've always been raging the violence. We've just been blamed for it.